Thanks everyone for joining. I see a lot of attendees who've joined this session. Uh, I think this is a very important topic that we're going to talk today. And this is a problem that a lot of consulting companies and staffing companies right now are facing is bench time, right? So bench has been the biggest challenge. So what we wanted to discuss here today is to figure out how do you manage your bench more effectively and your employees who are not on projects, and how do you make sure you also increase your profitability for your business, right? Before we get into too much details, a few housekeeping items. I wanted to make sure everyone knows that. So this webinar is being recorded. Post this meeting, we will be posting this on our website. So if you want to just have a recap and just try to go back and look at it, feel free to go ahead and do that. Ravi, can you move on to the next slide, please? I think you have control. Okay. Also, one other update is we also have a Q&A box here. So if you have any questions or anything you want answered, please feel free to go ahead and update that. We try to do this at the end of each of these webinars. Is we try to spend at least 10 to 15 minutes trying to answer any questions or any other topics that are in there, right? Just as a quick introduction about who we have here. My name is Venkat Kohli. Ravi, I think slides are gone. Yeah. So this is a brief agenda about what we are trying to talk today. A little introduction about who we have here. Also, a little analysis about what is the impact that COVID has done for consulting staffing companies. What are some of the challenges that businesses are facing, and how do you solve these problems as such, right? So we're going to discuss these issues today. So Ravi, can you move on as well? A brief introduction about myself. I'm the CEO here at Oorwin. I also have our Chief Technology Officer, Ravi. Currently, my role is at Oorwin is I oversee a strategy, innovation, sales, and marketing. My background, I've run a lot of other service companies in the past, helped started and scaled up a lot of these service companies. So that's my background. So Ravi, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thanks, Venkat. So myself, Ravi, I manage the engineering services, in Oorwin Labs. So we deal with, most of the technology, backbone of Oorwin is being managed by me. So I got around close to 19 years of experience, industry experience in different varieties of domains and technology stack.
Perfect. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the introduction. So we'll just move on into. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. So just a brief, overview about, what we want to discuss, right? So in terms of industry as such, staffing and consulting has been one very important growing industry over the last few years. If you look at the total market cap across the world, it's around $174 billion across the world. If you look at, a country like US itself, the adoption and the need and dependence on staffing and consulting companies have gone up phenomenally last 10 years. And what we see is also companies slowly adopting to this model of leveraging contingent workforce, especially when they want to do new projects, new initiatives, to take this workforce to solve some of their immediate problems as such. So there's always this need that, you need more and more people as such to do that. So there's always need for staffing. In terms of US as a market, there are around over 30,000 staffing companies in the US. Ranging from IT to healthcare to engineering. There's a lot of these different sectors in which, right now staffing happens. In a country like India, we have over 150,000 staffing companies right now. And most of these companies are usually around less than 10 million. So the main reason why we are having this topic today is, COVID has actually impacted everyone, right? What people are trying to figure out is, why has this happened, right? So if you look at it, there's been a lot of impact on different industries. When a lot of industries like travel and hospitality have taken a big hit. So there is the workforce themselves have just moved across. There's been a lot of changes happen. A lot of consulting and staffing companies depend on a lot of those job requests coming in from their clients, right? So there's been a huge reduction in that. So that's impacting their business. Ultimately, what happens is if there are a lot of their employees who they've hired full time, now they are coming back onto the bench, and that's actually affecting their margin, their profitability, as well as their revenues are not coming through. So that's a big challenge. Other big challenge we see right now with all this is there's been a lot of delays in payments that are coming from customers. Customers are having their own challenges in terms of generating revenue and also paying vendors as well as suppliers as well. Big problem, especially staffing, is hiring is important. So right now there's a big freeze on hiring with a lot of these companies. There's no new initiatives coming out because we see a lot of customers are on a wait mode, but at the same time, a lot of customers are also adapting to change. So there's an adoption of new technologies as well as new changes. Also budget has always been, but overall if you look at the way the working has changed, right, especially if you take any of these tech, IT, I would just talk right now more about it has changed significantly in terms of impact that has happened. A lot of people have started adopting remote work. Pre-COVID, adoption to remote was really difficult. Customers, when you go and pitch about the idea of about remote, it really did not make sense for them, and they would just push back on, why do I have to do remote? Why don't I have the resource on site? But the whole thing has changed. So remote actually has been very well adopted in IT and even some of these other sectors as well. There's one big thing is client facing initiatives have gone down. So most of these time the initiatives are through Zoom and other things as well. So overall, there has been an impact on consulting and staffing companies. If you look across the board, there has been 8% reduction in terms of new business coming out across the globe in terms of new staffing revenue. So Ravi, I'm just going to move on to the next slide. So why are we talking? What are we trying to talk here, right? So this is one of the most important part is, for consulting and staffing companies, the biggest asset or a product is the people that they have, right? So the teams that they have. So that's what they try to go to their customers with, try to sell out. So what's happened is with whole COVID, the their employees started coming on bench. Their chargeability has gone down. They're not being billed anywhere. So there has been huge impact. This has direct, indirect impact on their revenue in terms of their profitability. What it also does is, it's affecting their culture as such. A lot of these companies have built a very good culture across the company, but those cultures have also been very affected right now. There's also what happens is, you have an employee comes on bench. The important factor that people have to remember is you have a guy sitting at home and doing nothing. There's a lot of boredom and it's really difficult to keep them engaged. So that's been a very big challenge for people is how do you keep these people engaged so that when you have them back, how do you get them to be more productive, right? Also there's a factor of loyalty as well. Employees are also feeling that, oh, if I'm here, is my company going to support me? What is going to happen next? So there's a lot of these uncertainty factors. So Ravi, I would just move on to the next slide, please. So in terms of what companies have done in 2020, there has been a lot of changes that consulting staffing companies have done in 2020, especially after COVID. They've started focusing a lot on remote recruiting, right? Remote recruiting has gone very high. There's also been adoption of new technologies has also gone very high. They've started realizing that existing old legacy platforms are not relevant anymore. They need to adopt to new technologies and tools to be more relevant in the sector, or else businesses are getting really affected. They need to make changes to their business strategy in terms of how do they approach customers, how do they help their customers as such, and on different ways, right? So the business strategy has also changed. Overall, an important thing that has come out is also predictive analytics has been a very core component of it. Especially what's happening is this predictiveness on figuring out how do I make sure that I manage my employees such a way that I make sure that they are not on bench, right? So end of the day, you want to make sure they're assigned to any of these initiatives so that there is a lot of these you avoid bench time and there's good profitability for the company as well as for the employee, right? During this time, it's very important to focus as even when employees are on bench, to make sure they start upskilling themselves. Upskilling is very important, especially because they want to prepare for post-COVID, what is going to come out, right? 2021, what is going to happen, and how do they make themselves more valuable? Because upskilling and e-learning has become a very important component. So it's very important that companies start enabling their employees to make sure that they are up to speed on newer stuff as well. Um, and also communication has changed a lot. We right now everyone is on Zoom, as you all can see, but adoption to new technologies has also changed significantly over the past post COVID right now. I'm just going to talk a little about trends also. What we see are major trends across the market. Ideally, automation has changed, especially workforce becoming remote. There's dependency on VoIP calling, Zoom, all these tools, hiring, remote onboarding, as well as some of the one of the major challenge that I want to talk today is even the perks and benefits that companies are offering has changed a lot. I'll give you an example. As you know, previously you would have a nice office, you would have coffee machine, you would have snack room, but with all this, it has changed significantly where you don't have that anymore. So the companies are trying to look for innovative ways in which they can keep their employees happy with different benefits as well. Here I have listed down few points which we see significantly are major trends that are changing in the market right now, but we don't want to go through all of them and we want to spend time on other stuff. So Ravi, can you move on to the next slide? Um, I will let Ravi give you a little more insight on resource management, why it's important, and also a little about what is the problem we have with approach, what is the current approach, and what is going to be the new approach for service companies as well. Ravi, please take it from here.
Yeah, sure, Venkat. So, as Venkat was rightly pointing out, it's all about the adaptability to, new challenges that we have. One is first you start with the adaptability, and then you go into the, maturity part of it. Like as he was mentioning, once you start working from home, you start with Netflix, then go to Amazon Prime, and then go to Hotstar, and you will be bored, and you will get back to work. That's how it usually starts. Anything, any new thing, any new process or procedure that we put in place, it takes little time to get adopt to it, and then get mature to it. So yes, now the entire world is focusing towards remote part of it, and it has its own challenges. One of the major thing that every organization is looking at is optimization of resources, right? So how to optimize our existing resource where which we can use it in a better fashion so that we can have a better profitability. So I'll focus on a typical day-to-day things that we look at when we are looking at a bench resources. The first part that we typically look at is how can I get a job for these bench consultants pretty quickly with a better rate, right? So there might be multiple options that would be available, right? In terms of, I have job one, job two, job three, but how would I choose which job would be a better match for this particular resources instead of actually hitting all the three jobs and ending up submitting for something that has a a lesser rate. So this is where a lot of technology is helping the resource to make sure they take the better decisions. Okay, one part of it. Let's talk about a situation. Let's say I got a very high profile requirement. I know that the bill rate would of that particular requirement would be very high. So typically what we do, if we have any existing bench resources which can be part of that particular job, or if we wanted to submit that particular candidate to that particular job, that is what any typical bench sales guy looks at. But some of these systems, if you take a system like Oorwin, it actually looks into your existing resources as well who are already on project. If the system would automatically suggest you, hey guys, these are the consultants who are already working for a similar kind of job role for the lesser rate, right? So this is an opportunity where we can actually move the existing resources who are working for a lesser rate to a better job. And also another factor is, are we really ready? Are do we really need to work on any specific requirement or not? you could able to decide that in a single go. The moment you have the requirement in your system, the system would automatically recommend you, what is the probability of closing this particular position with your bench consultants, right? Or what are the improvements that we need to put in the, we need to put in the resume of these resources, or if there are any specific skill sets that this particular resource needs to have to fit the similar kind of requirements. All those kind of predictions, whatever that Venkat was talking about, the predictability, right? So, and also the suggestions and enablement of the resources is also a part of the SaaS systems that that we are providing. Okay, so there is a AI element attached to it now. If you take any typical case right now, I have a bench consultant who is very proficient in Java technologies. On any given day, if you go into the market, you might find 50 to 60 new job requirement for for a Java developer position. What typically do you just go there and you try to submit the profiles for those requirements, but you never know whether that particular resume is a match or not. What exactly is, how much percentage of match that particular resource or that particular bench consultant is for that requirement. Do we really need to make any changes to the resume? Do we need to update, or do we need to upscale the skill sets of the resources? We usually don't do this. 99% of the bench sales guys usually don't do. The moment they find Java developer as a position, they just go there and submit, right? So this is where the technology comes into picture. Where it actually gives you the percentage match. Let's assume that I have a Java developer position and Java developer resume. It automatically, provides you how much percentage of match this particular bench consultant is for this resume. And again, what are the things that you need to make in the resume, like whether if the resume is properly formatted with all the skill sets that are required for this particular job. There are a lot of suggestions that it usually do. Okay, that is one part of it. And another one is, right, if you take any bench consulting companies, 60 to 70% of the bench sales guys, they spend their time going into the open market and try to find a relevant job to the bench consultants, right? That is where they spend a huge amount of time. There would be different sources for it. One is the first one being the job portals. They go to Dice, Monster, TechFetch, Career Builder, and all that. So once that is exhausted, if the bench sales guy is really smart, he might go to different career portals of prime vendors or direct clients and try to find out if there is any relevant position for that particular job, for the consultants, right? So this would eat up quite a good amount of time, right? So if you take any bench sales guy, on any given day, he can pull maximum 20 to 30 jobs from any of these mediums, right? And that is where we coin certain solutions in the system in such a way that Oorwin can pull all the relevant jobs from multiple portals. When we are talking about multiple portals, it has a different varieties, right? One is the job boards, Dice, Monster, TechFetch, Career Builder, all that, Orthodox job boards that we have. And apart from that, we are pulling out all the relevant for jobs from the prime vendors or systems integrators like Tech Systems, Judge Group, Randstad. All these jobs would automatically come and sit in your in your system itself. The moment you have your bench consultant kept in the system and you specify what exactly the criteria that you are looking for that particular consultant, our AI enabled system would automatically pull all the jobs for you. And not only that, let's say I got around 500 jobs for a Java developer from multiple sources. Like, what would I do with 500 jobs? Which is the most relevant job that I can submit, right? You cannot randomly go and submit the jobs which are not relevant. The system itself identifies, okay, this bench consultant, these are the jobs which are relevant, and this is the percentage match of it. So this would actually drastically reduce the time of the bench sales guys, where it pulls information from multiple portals. We really don't need to go manually into the into different websites and do that. That is one factor of it. And another one is If you look at any typical organizations where you have your recruitment team separate and you have your bench sales team separate, it's always an India-Pakistan game between these recruitment and sales guys, right? So, but there are a lot of opportunities in terms of resource management, as I was mentioning. On any given day for any recruiter, they will have a lot of gray jobs that would be coming up and sitting in their inboxes. There are chances that many of the bench resources who are available would be a good match for these particular jobs. But until and unless someone has that will of you know going into the bench sales list and pick those candidates and make a submission to those requirements, those jobs are all all will die in their inboxes itself. Now what we have, what is the intelligence that we have here, right? The moment you get a job in your mail, whether you are a recruiter or you are a bench sales guy, we provide the insights in your mailbox itself, right? What is the probability of closing this position? Who are all the bench consultants that are matching to this particular profile? I mean, particular job requirement, and what is the percentage match? And whether it is a recruiter or a bench sales guy or whoever it is, they can just tag that particular mail to that bench consultant, and that can be sent to the bench sales guy. Hey guys, this is the requirement that I got, and this is what I see is a match for this particular resource. Right here we are not doing anything. We are not doing any disruption as such. Disruption is not something that you destroy everything and start something from new. It is more of a optimizing everything that we have, right? We have bench consultants, how better we can utilize our resources and get them placed. And another thing, another thing about the resource management. When we are talking about the resource management, it is not about all the time the employees or the bench consultants that we have, but all the resources that are available to us, right? On any given day, if you see, you get a lot of hot list on any in your inbox. That is the least preferred mail we would like to open on any given day, right? So how about building a database of hot list candidates? you know Even though those profiles are not an immediate match for any particular requirements on any given day, but if you have a database available, if you don't even if you don't have a physical resumes available, but that information is extremely important. So how about a AI enabled tool which would actually track your inbox, and whatever hot list mails that are coming into your inbox be now put in your database. And if there is any new requirement, or if you have any new client onboarded, how about mapping and looking into this hot list as well? Apart from your resume database, even all the hot list candidates that you have, it can actually make a what we say matching of this hot list along with the existing resumes, and give you suggestions. Hey, these are the candidates which you got in last 6 months or 7 months as part of the hot list mail. Do you want to inquire whether they are available or not? This is one part of it, right? So likewise, there are quite a lot of things that we can do in terms of resource optimization and management, as I was mentioning, right? So uh, again, all these with a very minimum learning curve. You really don't need to, have a big learning curve, because having a learning curve in these remote situations is another biggest challenge every executive is facing. Now, I wanted to build, or I wanted to take a very sophisticated system which can actually do all this stuff. At the end of the day, if it has a big learning curve, the chances of adopting that particular system for any organization is very high. When it comes to the Oorwin, you can pretty much manage every bit of the item that I just mentioned from any medium. You can do that from your Gmail, Outlook, Office 365, mobile app, Gmail app, whatever app that you are compatible, you are comfortable with, whatever device you are comfortable with, iPad, laptop, desktop, everything. So that is what we were bringing to the table in terms of, optimizing whatever that we have. Again, we are not doing anything different as such, but whatever that we are doing is enabling all the resources, how we can actually make sure all the resources that are available be utilized by everyone in the organization in a better fashion. For that, everything is available at the fingertips. Okay, so I will just stop here. I'll pass on to Venkat to take the next one.
Sure, sure. Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Thanks for all the overview. So I'll just move on to a little about, about current approach. This is one important thing is we want to talk about how companies currently are operating and how they're managing their bench, right? So one of the most commonly used way is they just make a list of all these. If they are supplying people to other services companies, what they do is they create these hot lists. They do send a lot of emails across with all these resumes as such, and then it is more of a cold email that goes off, and a lot of these are cold communications. Other way is a lot of these resumes, there's openings that are on job boards. They would typically submit their people to them, talk to the companies, and then try it right. Also, they would also reach out to their clients, implementation partners through emails. There's all this. Pretty much, a lot of these are cold activities that are going on, especially with the current state and how technology has transformed. There's been a big transformation in which how you need to operate going ahead, right? So there is always something called the new work, right? So the new way in which you operate. So a lot of companies, what they're doing is they are moving into a new approach. So which Ravi, can you move on to the next slide, once? Where they talk about how do I make sure that I efficiently map all my resources or my employees who are currently there to different opportunities that are out there, right? One of the most few, there are a few basic things that companies are doing right now is to make sure they map their sales with their recruitment. This has been a very big challenge because what's happened so far is sales has always been separate and recruitment is always considered separate. But together, sales with recruitment is one thing that is helping them, because what happens is it helps them manage, forecast, and also make sure they figure out what they can do with the time that is already there with their existing employees. Other important aspect that companies are doing right now is whenever they have their people who are rolling off projects with an end date, they are proactively starting out to look for more opportunities and try to map those opportunities. Other important thing is one big thing, like what Ravi mentioned earlier, is people would manually do a lot of these cold stuff, right? But there's also a platform like Oorwin can actually help you automate all of that. Instead of a recruiter manually trying to reach out, there's a lot of these mappings that are already done with a lot of these job boards, career pages, and also across the web, where it pulls out information that's relevant for them and then it shows them in the system. Other important aspect that we do recommend a lot of our customers as well, existing customers and prospects, is to use a product like Oorwin as well as LinkedIn. Uh, it is very important right now that LinkedIn and Oorwin, a product like these, are used, because these are what are going to help companies be more successful, because it does a lot of integration in terms of opportunity mapping to a resource mapping, and also at the same time, when this happens, it automatically increases your profitability. At the same time, your bench is also, there is little bench. I'll give you another example right now, as LinkedIn has transformed dramatically over the last few months, where previously, if you wanted to post a job on LinkedIn, you would need a LinkedIn job account and you had to post it. But right now, LinkedIn is offering new features where you can go in and in your post itself, you can post out a job as such. So that there are some integrations that Oorwin currently provides, which provides integrations with product like LinkedIn. For example, if you are in LinkedIn, you want to take that candidate across into your ATS, you can do that with a single click rather than trying to open the platform and trying to do drag and drop. You don't need to even do that. It's pretty much simple. With 2 clicks, you can do it. So that's what companies are doing right now, is taking up this new approach rather than going away from the traditional approach as such right now. So I'll just move on to the next slide. So also, this is an important topic that people have is how do you reduce it, right? So we spoke about, the problem that we have, and also I think the number one component that people have to start doing is to adopt to new technology. It is very important. If companies are still in the traditional model of doing it in Excel, saving resumes on their database, what happens is a lot of these things are changing so fast that unless they change their strategy, companies are becoming irrelevant right now. So it's very important that they adopt to this, adopt to new technologies, find out new ways in which and innovative ways in which they can improve their business as such, right? Other important is finding so as much as finding opportunities, at the same time finding people is also that difficult, because a lot of people are either already on a project or an engagement, but at the same time you want to make sure that they have other opportunities as well. So it's very important that there is a single platform that can be used right now where you can manage your sales, your recruitment, as well as human resources. And it's very important that we do that. Other important point, especially in terms of employees, is to make sure they are engaged with our organization, because a lot of these employees are currently at home, are not engaged with our company. You have to come out with innovative ways in which you engage with them as well. So Ravi, I'll just move on to the next slide, and then maybe we'll just get into. So I know opportunities. I'll let you take it from here, Ravi, and also it'll be very helpful, Ravi, if you can also walk us through Oorwin and show us how we can make sure that a lot of our bench, if we currently have a bench, how do we make sure that we map them to opportunities that are out there, and we as companies, as services companies, how can they make sure that they're more effective as well?
Yeah, certainly, Venkat. So there are different ways, right? We are talking about the resume matching. We are talking about how we can actually reach out to, bigger audience, or, you know, the rate of reach should be really, really high when you are actually looking at, the optimized one. So if you just look at, before I go into the portal and showcase, I just wanted to give some light on some of the traditional way of doing the bin sales, right? The first one being the hot listing, right? It hasn't changed from last 16 to 17 years, right? Whatever the hot list mail that we have seen 10, 15 years, it's the same format that we have been seeing, right? The moment we have the bench consultant, this is the first activity any bench sales guy do, once they open their laptop or a desktop on any given day. So pull out everything, put that in a mail and shoot, to whoever that they have in their list. So, and mass mailing is another factor that most of the bin sales guys do. The more emails that I send, the assumption is that I'll get the maximum responses to it. But this hot list and mass mailing has been a completely different ball game these days. From the technology point of view, and also the user perspective, right? In terms of whether they would open these hot list mails, or whether the mass mails are being delivered or not. All these challenges are there. So there are a lot of intelligence, and there are a lot of technology advances that happened in both of these cases. When you look into the Oorwin, how we actually doing this hot listing and mass mailing, right? So we have a lot of templates that we are providing as part of the hot list, and again, these templates are completely customizable, and it can be filed from any medium. They can able to do that from their Gmail, Outlook, mobile app, and all that. Not only that, as the Venkat was rightly mentioning, LinkedIn has been a hub, epicenter for all the professional networks these days, right? That is the place where everyone is. Previously, everyone used to open the Facebook. Now everyone is going into LinkedIn now, right? So now what we can do is, with a click of a button, we can even automate all these hot lists that can be directly published on the LinkedIn from our portal. We really don't need to manually copy paste all that information. You really don't need to prepare that exhaustive list and all that. You just a click of a button, you can publish all your hot list on your wall in LinkedIn. And when it comes to the mass mailing, right? So it is not the same. When you compare how it used to work 1 year back, now there are a lot of intelligence that has been introduced in mass mails, right? So some of the times what happens is, I don't want to send mails in my office hours. What I wanted is, I wanted to fire these mails at around 7 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning, so that it can sit first in the list of mails of the recipients, right? That is one aspect of it. And also there are a lot of AI that has been introduced in these mailing things. Let's assume that I'm firing these mails to a recipient in North America. What is the trend? What is the trend of delivering these mails? What is the trend of opening these mails? At what time these recipients are opening these mails? All these intelligent metrics will be captured. And whenever we are sending the next set of mails, it automatically delivers those mails on that particular specific time. Let's say if someone is opening at 5 o'clock in the evening before leaving the office, all these mails would be delivered at that particular time. So likewise, there are a lot of intelligence that was happening in the mass mailing part. Job boards, as I already explained, we have a we introduced quite a lot of intelligence in terms of pulling jobs from different job boards or third party portals and all that. Let me quickly show you as another one which caught my attention. What Venkat was mentioning is the collaboration, right? If you look at it, you might be having a business development team, you might be having a recruitment team, and you might be having a sales team. If you look at any other organization, these are three different verticals where you hardly see any collaboration or a handshake unless it is really really needed, if there is any escalation as such, right? But the more productivity would come when these three teams work hand in hand. And one of the challenges that one of the age old challenges for any organization is that these teams use three different systems to manage their day-to-day work, right? The business development team would be using some CRM, the recruitment team would be a different ATS, the HR team would be using a different HR system. So the collaboration between the teams and also the handshake between these systems are also very very hard, right? Unless we don't use these resources in a better fashion or in an optimized way, it would become really really challenging going forward. So that is one of the advantages of Oorwin, where you really don't need to go for a different systems. You have everything under one umbrella. Okay, so let me quickly walk you through in terms of what we have uh, in Oorwin. The first part, right? I'm a bench sales guy, and the first part that I would like to see is, right, I wanted a contacts of a particular organization so that I can just start my campaigning part, building the relationship with them. This is where most of the organizations spend a lot of their time and effort in terms of pulling the contacts from different sources, right? Like using Zoom or Discover.org or all of that. So we really don't need to do that. What we are providing is, you can just have all that information in the system itself. Let's say I created tech systems. The moment I have the tech systems available, there are a lot of things that we are providing. It actually gives you a lot of insights about that particular client. If you want to pull out all the contacts of tech systems, right? So you can just click on get available emails. What it would do is it actually gives you all the email IDs of tech systems, the employees or recruiters or account managers. It will pull and give you all those details here. If you can see, there were around 914 contacts that are available. This is a huge information. This is a library of information which you really fight on day-to-day basis to get from multiple sources, right? You can just click on it and add to your contacts needs, or you can start nurturing, and all that you can do from here itself. And you can even find from where you get all this information. If you wanted to get some contact details of it, you could able to do that, right? And again, the best part is, most of the time, as we were discussing about the LinkedIn, right? So a particular contact in a particular organization is a decision maker. Getting his contact details is a first challenge, right? So that's where you spend, again, huge amount of time in getting those details for you. So what we have here is, you have something called email finder. You just provide his first name and last name here, and it automatically tries to get the contact details of that particular resource. Now, if you see, this is the email ID, and it also gives you the confidence score. You can add it to your leads or contacts, and if you want to add that your hot list, mailing list and all that, you could able to do that. This is a starting point in terms of pulling out all the contacts to whom you wanted to market your profile. You have everything available in the system. Again, you really don't need to sweat much. You could be able to do all this stuff from your mobile app as well. So next one is a resource pool, right? This is where you manage all your bench consultants. As I was mentioning, I have this bench consultant who is actually a Java developer. What I am looking at is, how can I pull all the jobs, all the Java developer positions in the market? When you are talking about the market, it would be in the job boards. These jobs in the job boards. This would be from different social media sites. This would be from, prime vendors or systems integrators and any tier one vendors. You know, what we have provided is you have something called job grabber. So job grabber is nothing but it does everything for you. You really don't need to manually go to different portals and try to get these jobs and make a submission for that particular consultant. So what it would do is, if you look at it, I just created a Java developer agent and I enabled it. What it would do is it pulls out all the Java developer position with whatever filter criteria that you have defined. Like, I defined Java developer as a job title, having 2 days, which has been in the market from last 2 days, in a particular location with whatever criteria, with the 4 to 5 years of experience. You can just define that particular criteria and we'll take care of everything. Now you can able to see, right? These are the jobs that were pulled from different portals, right? We are talking about job boards, Dice, TechFetch, Monster, and all that, and we are talking about the social sites like Stack Overflow and all that, and we are talking about prime vendors, right? We have Randstad, we have Judge Group. Wherever we have it, automatically pulls out all those jobs for you, and these are the jobs that you got. And what you can do is you can directly make a submission of your bench consultant to these jobs. You really don't need to sweat much. You have almost the 300 to 400 jobs when you open your system on any given day. And you really don't need to educate your sales guys every day. Hey guys, you go to this particular job site, you go to this particular career page, you go to this prime vendor, all that. So it automatically does everything for you. What you have to do is just to go there and you just to provide your whatever your preference criteria is. And these are the different job boards and prime vendors our system would do. Not only that, so what it would actually do is, the moment you have the job available, it actually gives you the percentage match of it as well. Getting a 300 400 jobs is one part of it, but for what jobs you need to submit this consultant is another thing, right? You cannot just sit and start submitting for all the 300 jobs, but it has to be in a way that you need to submit for the most optimized or most matching job. So this is actually gives you the percentage match in terms of how much match this particular consultant is for the job, and you can make a submission in the system, and you capture all those details in the system itself. So this is a unique solution which has been coined with a lot of AI and lot of technology that has been used behind. And the next part that I was talking about is the collaboration, right? I am a recruiter and I don't have any idea about my bench sales consultants, right? Or I don't have any idea about our technical consultants who are already on job. So on any given day they get a lot of what we say jobs, right? So what our system would provide is, let's assume that this is the job that any recruiter or anyone in the organization got. Typically they would be getting the similar kind of jobs, many jobs on any given day. So what we have here is we are actually providing a lot of insights about this particular job. Let me quickly show you. The moment you click on get insights, it automatically analyzes this particular job and what is the organizational capability of closing this particular position. Right now, this is an Angular developer position. You can able to see the lot of insights that is being provided here. There are around 27 profiles which are matching to this particular requirement, and the matching criteria is around 92 for 100%. And what is my probability of closing this particular position? Right, it is 100%, because we might have closed similar positions before and we already have this information available. And another, the least the least used resource in any organization is, if I get any particular new requirement or any new position, everyone would be in a rat race of publishing that job in different job boards, doing the mass mailing and all that. One thing that they forgot, or they don't have the will, is that whether we have worked on a similar kind of position before or not by any other one in the organization, right? What are those profiles that were submitted, whether those profiles can be a match for this particular position, right? We really don't need to reinvent the whole thing. That is where these tools really help the organization in terms of achieving the best results. Now what the system would provide is, yes, We have worked on similar kind of requirement before, and these are the submissions that we did. So these four profiles are previously considered profiles where we have completed all the screenings, and these profiles are readily available to make a submission for this requirement. Not only that, if you can able to see, the resource pool is nothing but your bench consultants and as well as your existing employees. Now these are the employees which are matching to this particular requirement, and this is the percentage match. You can always select them and share this requirement with them, and if you want to share this with your bench sales guys, you should be able to do that. All of this, you really don't need to have a big learning curve as such, and also you really don't need to scramble between the systems and go to multiple screens and do that. It is, everything is available in your mailbox, whether that is your Gmail, Outlook, Office 365, whatever it is, you could able to do that. And apart from that, if you want to do any operations, you really don't need to go anywhere. You can run the entire show from your Gmail itself, or if you are comfortable with Outlook, you could able to do that. Now we are talking about multiple things here in terms of you know how we can actually use the existing resource in a better fashion, which I was just showcasing you in terms of opening up all these resources available for everyone, and also give the suggestions and enable these resources, whether that is an account manager or a recruiter or a bench sales guy. You could able to, these systems would enable them in terms of how better we can operate on day-to-day basis to place the candidate in a very lesser time. Okay, so these are some of the functionalities that we have, which had a lot of AI that has been introduced, picking up the jobs, making the profiles, matching the profiles to these particular jobs, and again the ranking of these profiles to these jobs. This would optimize a lot of stuff in terms of resource management, in terms of managing the bench time of the consultants, and also the revenue factor that we are talking about. Okay.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the very detailed overview. But before we get into the next thing, I want to make sure everyone knows that we have a Q&A box there. So if you have any questions that you wanted to ask us, please go ahead and update your information in there. Ideally, as you can see, one of the most important aspect is, we want to have an intelligent platform that is going to help your business. The old traditional way of doing business has changed, right? With especially with everything that's going around, your old strategy is not going to work anymore. So you need to come up with new innovative ways about how you tackle this problem, and how do you make sure that you have higher chargeability for your employees. They're always billable, they're always on a project, and at the same time you make sure that when you have openings that you have, how do you match them with internal candidates with a smarter system. So that is exactly what some of these challenges that our customers are facing, and some of the challenges that we are trying to solve here. Again, if you have any questions, I want to make sure we give time for everyone to go ahead and put them out in the Q&A box. But if you are looking for a detailed demo, feel free to reach out to us on our website. Just request for a demo. We'll make sure we walk you through how we can solve these problems. Our platform is very customizable, and we can make sure that we can solve any of your challenges, especially if you are a resourcing company, or if you are you need help with sales, or you need help with recruiting, or trying to improve your onboarding process, or you're trying to improve your back office, HR. We can help you out with all these problems and make sure we do it in an effective way, right? We want to make sure whatever we do is for the next change that's coming out right now, especially with COVID. Things have changed. We've started working remote. The old way of time entry, time gathering has also changed. Another important aspect that I want to bring across today is our platform is very customized to geographies as well. It's very customized to a region like US, customized to a region like India, like for Singapore. So it's very customized to it. And we have got a robust set of integrations also with multiple products as well. So if you need any of those also, we can just walk you through them. Again, before I move on, I want to make sure if you have any questions, please go ahead and submit in there. Ravi, did you have any other questions any other thing that you wanted to share here?
I think I'm good, Venkat.
Oh, very good. So again, I know we have one quick question here. I think one of the let's just get into questions, Ravi. I think one of the user attendee has asked us, what are different job boards being integrated to Oorwin and where we get the jobs from?
Okay, so there are two aspects of it, the commercial job boards and the free job boards. So we have integrated with both the job boards. We have integrated with Dice, Monster, TechFetch, Career Builder, the Zip Recruiter, and there are few free job boards where we are pulling out the jobs from the free job boards as well. For to your question, yes, almost all the commercial job boards we have integrated, where it pulls the jobs from commercial and as well as the paid job boards.
Okay, very good. Perfect. Thanks, Ravi. Also, I think the next question that came up is about slides. Yes, we will share these slides with everyone after this session. You will get a PDF document with all this information. We highly suggest that if you need any other further information, feel free to reach out to us. We can walk you through the product and also give you a detailed demo as well. Good. So I think we had done. So I think that's, we didn't have too many questions, Ravi, but I'm sure a lot of people have requested a demo because they wanted a detailed walkthrough about the product as well. So I want to thank everyone for taking time to join us today. Our main intention through these webinars is to make sure we help our existing customers as well as potential customers and also other service companies who are in this business to make sure they are successful in anything that they do, right? So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. And again, thank you for taking time to join us today. Thanks, everyone.
I think there is one more question. As an example on DICE, there are same jobs posted by multiple subvendors. That's an interesting question. Yes. Let's say, the moment you have a new job, you obviously try to fire in all the job boards, right? If you have a Java developer position, you post that in DICE, Monster, TechFetch, Career Builder, whatever job boards that you have. Yes, so Oorwin has that intelligence. The moment it gets a job, it automatically identify it is a duplicate job in other job boards as well. So if it is a duplicate job board, it doesn't actually fetch, it will not show that as a separate job as such. It would be one job, and within that it actually gives you the source of it. It is the same job that is available in Monster, Dice, TechFetch, and all that. So we have that intelligence. The AI part of it would take care of it, whether it is a duplicate job that has been published in multiple job boards. So it does consider from all the job boards, but it will be showcased as one job in the system, and the source would be all those job boards. It has that intelligence.
Perfect. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks
Yeah.
for answering that. But
Yep.
good. Again, thanks, Ravi. And thanks, everyone, for taking time to join us today. We want to give back some of the time that we got. We got 5 minutes more. Again, thanks for joining. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions as well.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
Venkat.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward. Yep. Bye.